want to get to work now, or?
WOT box time.
We're gonna be installing the WOT box today, guys.
WOT box? What box?
What box? No, WOT box.
WOT box.
WOT box allows us to do flat foot shifting, and the Cobb Accessport does offer that, but instead of cutting the fuel injectors, the WOT box cuts the ignition coils. So the reason why this is a better idea than cutting the injectors is because if you're running an auxiliary fuel system with an external fuel source, the ECU does not cut that external fuel source, right? So it doesn't cut those external injectors. So you'll run lean in between a WOT shift or a flat foot shift, and that can be bad, right? But check out Tuned By Nishan. He's a really good Mazdaspeed tuner, and he describes all that in further detail.
And that's pretty much where all the information in this video came from, so.
Learn a lot from him. But in this video today, we're gonna be installing the WOT box today.
Let's do it, let's install it.
We're gonna show you the wiring and how to tap off and try to make a clean install here. So let's get started.
What kind of box is that?
So basically how this box works is it's basically gonna cut the ignition coils by being wired in series with the power wire to the coils. And it's gonna get inputs from the crank position sensor, the accelerator pedal position sensor. Actually, it might even be the throttle body voltage signal wire. The clutch position sensor, or switch rather, clutch position switch. And once it sees all these inputs, it's gonna use that information to determine when to cut the ignition, which is basically when your foot is flat to the ground and your clutch is fully depressed. And it'll cut the ignition system for a certain amount of milliseconds, which you can adjust. So however long it takes you to shift, you can adjust that milliseconds there, that time. I can't even speak right now.
So in your case, because you're a slow shifter, you need to cut it for like 3 seconds, right?
3 seconds? Yeah, man.
All right, so we're gonna take the battery out because it's always good to cut wires and mess with the wiring system without the power source.
Batteria. New Corksport battery box here.
You know, the first time I changed the blower motor resistor on my old Jeep, I went and cut the harness to put it in, and I saw the lights flicker in the cabin, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I installed the blower motor resistor, and for like 4 hours after installing it, I was like, why isn't it working? Like, the blower motor's not working. Why is it burnt out? What the hell happened? I went to go get gas, and I thought about it, and I'm like, oh, I shorted everything when I cut the harness because I left the battery attached, and the fuse was blown. Lo and behold. Cool story, eh?
That's awesome, bro. You should publish that.
Basically, the important thing is when you're cutting the wiring harness, if you're cutting multiple wires, remember the scissors are steel if you're using scissors. So when you cut one wire, the scissors will make contact with that wire, and when they go through the jacket of the next wire, they'll short those 2 wires out.
Nobody wants to look at your fingers, man.
I'm trying to do something here, man. I'm just telling them why we have to take the battery out.
Disconnect the battery. Yeah, we gotta disconnect the battery because we're gonna be working with the ECU wires. We're gonna be doing some soldering, so that's why we have to disconnect the battery. Okay, very simple.
Soldering. You want to say things properly? Soldering.
Soldering. Whatever. Yeah. That makes sense.
Molten lead fusing. That's what I'm gonna call it today, so that there's no controversy.
Well, there goes my fuel trims. Ah, Christ. Okay, now I'm gonna disconnect the ECU connectors. And we're gonna remove the ECU out of the way because we're not gonna need that. We're just gonna need to work with the harness. Guys, this is gonna be great because you know what? I can't wait to shoot some flames in between shifts and not dump boost in between shifts. I'm really excited for 3rd to 4th. You know, 3rd to 4th is gonna be like,
it's gonna be like a punch, like instant boost.
It's gonna be like, it's like, oh yeah. It's so good, man.
Yeah. With all of your 320 horsepower.
Yeah, man, until we get that aux fuel set up. So here's the ECU connectors here. We're gonna peel back all this electrical tape, and this is gonna give us a lot of room to work with these wires here. Yeah, there's a lot of room. We got room.
We're gonna be using a splicing method we found online. I mean, there's many different common ways to splice wire. We're just gonna try to do it as neat as possible. Yeah, it's hard to speak today, man. I don't know what it is.
You know what, man? It's probably because we haven't made a video in a while.
Why don't we just get a tripod and just have it sit and just...
Look at these wires, man.
Look at these wires.
We're gonna be playing with the electrical wires on the ECU because we're taking risks here, buddy. We cut the wrong wire. We gotta fix that wire. But guys, we're gonna try to share as much information as we can doing this job because
next video. So we blew up the car.
But here's the thing.
Buying a Subaru.
This is a Gen 1 Mazdaspeed 3. I don't know if the wiring schematics are the same for the Gen 2s. You guys would have to look into that. But if you guys have Gen 1s, this will definitely work. But honestly, check N2MB's website. They have some good instructions there, where we got it from. So realistically, the only reason for you to watch our video is to be entertained and to just know that we're doing it right.
So which one of these wires controls the bad bumper fitment?
I think all of them do. All of them control bad bumper fitment. But there's nothing really we can do about that.
Yeah, I have a separate harness from my rocker panel rust.
Yeah. It's funny guy. It's so funny. Yeah, we just recently repaired Julian's rocker panel. It was like rusted out.
Looks half decent. It's pretty good. It was really hard to get this line even. And like, it was the first time doing body work, so the most difficult part about the whole job is like, the rocker panel is a curve. I kind of wish my first job doing body work was like on a flat section here or something. Oh, I keep burping. that burp felt so satisfying, you have no idea. I feel lighter. I feel like
you actually feel lighter.
I feel like a weight has been lifted.
Yeah. That burp weighed about atmospheric.
I could skip
14.7.
Go skipping. Like I feel so like bouncy.
You feel like you've released 0.1 pounds.
It's more polite out this end, trust me.
How come I can't find this? Do you have a knife?
Yeah, you're gonna need a knife. Careful, man. Just take it slow, okay? Take it slow. Don't think about the fact that it's already the middle of the day and we haven't even opened up the harness yet. Oh, we're gonna be here late.
We've removed the electrical tape from the ECU harness over there. You can see we have exposure to the wires now. As per the instructions, we're gonna go in through the grommet behind on the passenger side here, so we gotta take the glove box out.
CS, customer says.
Customer says that Corksport is a good idea. We are in no way affiliated with Corksport. We just bought this with our own money because we're loaded. No, we're not. We're pretty damn poor.
Yeah, we're loaded. That's why it's taking forever to put mods on cars. And that's why I didn't go to a professional body shop to do my rocker repair. But you know what? It's protected against rust and we're all good.
Now we gotta pull this off. It's just tabs, but be careful. Ooh. So am I supposed to pull this whole thing off? Actually, you know what? I don't know if it comes off the whole way. I don't want to break it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold it in place like this. And I'm going to remove these right here.
Here you go.
Hang on, what the hell is that?
Bondo.
Jeez.
Okay, maybe we should clean it up. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
Now, we're gonna remove the trim down here by removing this clip. There's this little clip right here. We're gonna remove that clip and then remove this little side panel. It's kinda hard to do it when you're in the car. So there's a Mazdaspeed sill plate. Clips like that, 3 sections. Why the f is this not coming out? Okay. Pull it straight and back, nice and gently. This is the ground point where we're gonna ground the WOT box. I think it just pops out now because we removed the 2 top screws. We gotta pull right here. I'm pretty sure. Like that. And take the little light bulb out. So I got the light out removed from here. There's 2 ways I think you can remove it. You can use a small pick and push these tabs on either side in to pull the light out. Oh, look at that, the actual bulb is burned.
Oh.
Oh well, I don't really give a shit about that. Or you can remove the Phillips screw here and then just take the bulb out that way. But you can really see just how deep this glove box is.
That's a deep glove box.
You know what I mean? Like, it's an extension to my soul, realistically. Let's put it to the side.
Looks like one of those old CRT TVs.
Like 2 screws and you yank it out.
Whoa, look at all those fuses in there. Pretty cool. Fuses for all those different little circuits. I think the fuse for your bumper fitment sensor is burnt out.
You're probably right. See that wiring harness right there going into the firewall? We're gonna poke a hole through that rubber grommet, and we're gonna run our wires for the WOT box through here, and the WOT box is gonna sit in the glove box. So we're just gonna go and do that right now, run those wires. Okay, so we poked through. Now we gotta make that hole a little bit bigger so we can fit the whole wiring harness through. Pretty straightforward so far.
Well, maybe we can focus from here. There's the tip of the screwdriver right there.
Especially because they got a buzz going on.
It's poking right through, see that? Look at him go.
How do I make it bigger?
That's what she said.
You know what? Let's take this 10mm off right here.
And just bend it out of the way?
And then just bend the shield forward a little bit so we have more clearance. Now I think we can bend the shield a little bit down. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, way more access. Just get your hand in there now.
So the WOT box came with some zip ties, some heat shrink, a data cable that connects to the computer, and the actual harness itself. We went ahead and got some protective sleeving, some plastic tubing for the harness under the hood, and some extra wiring just in case we need it. And to secure the WOT box into the glove box, we're going to be using some Velcro tape. Yeah?
Yeah, you got it. Right through. That's it.
Can you pull it a bit?
Yeah. Oh, that shield, man.
Straight.
Let me know where to stop.
Keep going. Stop. We've determined which wires we need to splice into. That gray wire right here is for the accelerator pedal position. This black wire here is for the clutch pedal position. And this red and white wire is for the crank position sensor. So now we have to disconnect this connector right here, and we're gonna tap into one of the wires that goes to that powers up all 4 coils. Just gonna make a little bit of room and get this brake booster line out of the way. Work back this insulation here carefully. Definitely check out the N2MB instructions on their website. You'll get a better idea, but this is the wire that we are going to cut. We got one wire here. We got one wire over here. We got a wire here and a wire here. Those are all the wires that we have to play with.
So now the important thing is once you make that first connection, you cannot take the loom off and refish it around something that you kind of went over the wrong way. So make sure that this is properly routed in the position it's going to be for good, because once you make your first solder joint, it's now in a connected loop and you can't reroute. So I'll get the battery out.
We're just gonna take the whole thing and just run the whole harness through.
Okay, so we're gonna pull the wire out from the firewall and put this shield on first, and then put the whole thing through the firewall so that the wires are covered the entire time they're in the engine bay.
Okay, so now we're gonna cut this protective loom to the same length as the harness. Slide it through. Straighten it out. So we got it through the grommet now. We're gonna now route it behind the exhaust manifold and the heat shield, behind the battery box, and then we're gonna splice into all the wires that we need to splice into. So we're gonna start with the blue one. The instructions tell us to splice it in right here. Blue to gray on this connector.
We'll cut it here. Actually, we'll cut it up a bit more. And then what we'll do is we'll strip this, and then strip this. Put some heat shrink here, solder this whole bundle, and then bring the heat shrink back over, and then it'll be nice and spliced. Sound good?
Why do you want to cut it further down?
Because if I cut it over here more, then the heat shrink's going to be close to the heat, and the heat shrink might prematurely shrink.
Oh,
I've had that happen before,
okay, so I'm gonna watch
I just like doing that. Okay, so maybe around here. Oh, that's it. Okay, I'm gonna go home and have a nap, and
that's it. There's no going back now.
Okay.
No going back now.
So
just strip the wires.
Good right there. Like that. And on this one, we'll make a big strip. Okay.
Blue with gray.
Right, and it's gonna be like that. So next step is get some heat shrink.
We hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. I'm enjoying my buzz right now. You know, I'm just drinking a few beers here and there. It's just, you know, a weekend thing, right? It's kind of a weekend. Having a good time. Julian's the electrical guy. Gotta have a little electric tools.
Should we go like white? Cause
no.
That's the only size I have that's gonna fit both nicely. So you want function over form or form over function?
Worst case, we'll tape everything up with electrical tape to hide it all.
See that? That's perfect. I want to use this size. That should be good. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Probably could have stripped these a bit more, but each joint should get better. All right, we'll leave that like that. Let the iron heat up. There's your spice. Now I'll keep this heat shrink moving so it doesn't shrink on me.
So now we put the heat shrink on that joint.
Yeah, let it cool down a bit more so it doesn't prematurely shrink. See that?
Nice
now,
and clean.
Just make sure we have it covering enough of both wires, so right around there.
Okay, now what do you gotta get, a lighter?
Lighter. You should probably use a heat gun, but with a lighter, I find if you don't put it in the sooty part of the lighter flame, so put it in the blue part. Ooh, don't burn yourself. Get a nice shrink. There.
That's one down. 4 more to go. Okay, so now we're going to connect the green wire to the black and yellow wire from the ECU harness on the same connector.
Put some solder on the iron so you can get good thermal contact, and then melt the solder through the wire so that the flux gets in that wire. Just like that.
Wow. It's pretty cool.
If you burn all the flux off on the iron tip, it's not gonna like flow as well, right?
Julian does this for work, so. Well, I mean, he does, whatever. Won't put that in. Good job.
Now, go all the way out to the insulation because I made a nice big piece.
One of your neighbors is playing Adele.
Same one that was playing weird classical music before.
Okay. All right, so now the yellow wire there is going to be connected to this red and white wire. And then we'll move on to that connector right there. So we're going to extend this wire a little bit just to get a little bit more length, make it easier to put it all together and solder it. What is that? Wrap that heat shrinker on there on that joint. We can move on to the ignition wire.
Okay, so we've tapped into all we need to tap off of the wiring harness here.
The blue wire and the gray one is for the accelerator pedal position wire. The green, the black and yellow wire is for the clutch pedal position switch, and the red and white to yellow wire is for the crankshaft position sensor. So these other two remaining wires, the red and the orange, are going to be for the ignition coil power in and out. So the red one is going to go to the power in, and this orange one is going to go to power out.
So now we're going to have to extend these wires just to reach. So we bought some 16 gauge hookup wire to give us some more slack.
So we're going to cut some extension wire here.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll cut another length of the same.
This guy right here in between those two, yeah. We're just gonna cut him right here, dead smack in the middle. That's good. We're gonna add our extension wires onto this, and then bring our heat shrink down, heat shrink this joint, and then connect the other ends to this.
Right now Julian is just adding more wire so we can connect it to the WOT box harness. One thing to note that they have changed their instructions. That red wire right there is the correct one, but in the instructions, the orange one is mentioned as a black wire, but they said that they're going to update their instructions soon, but I think that was back in 2014 and they still haven't done it yet. So just be aware of that anytime you see black wire in the instructions, they actually mean orange wire. We got each side of that cut wire there, you can see. I'm going to put some heat shrink on these wire extensions here to protect those solder joints. The trick here, guys, is, you know, make sure your solder joints and your wiring is clean to prevent any potential electrical problems or failures. You want to have a good wiring job.
Okay, so these joints are straight, they're not being bent, and the wire before the joint is just being kind of turned around, so it's all in one kind of nice little area, and then they will attach like this.
So what's going to happen is you have this wire here, right? That's the wire that's going away from the connector, and then you have this one which is going towards the connector, right? You can see that. So the one that is going towards the connector is going to be soldered to the orange wire right here. Okay, so this one right here is going to that orange one. The one that is going away from the connector, which is this one here, whoops, is going to be soldered to the red wire right there.
As you can see, that wire wrap is very close to stock. So everything looks
we got it plugged
stock in here.
Yep, we got it plugged back in now. It goes here. Here's our solder joints at the ECU wires. Everything looks real clean. Doesn't even look like I have a WOT box installed. It runs around here, behind the battery box, and into the cabin over there.
Alright, so now we're going to put the battery back in, secure everything in place, throw the software on the WOT box, and try it out.
Yeah, so we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to download the software from the website, N2MB's website, I believe, and open up the software and show you how to play with it.
Well, we're basically not really going to show how to play with it as much as just copy what Nishan has shared.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to try to like use his setup procedure to kind of test this setup up.
That's the setup up. That's the setup up.
Really good.
That's the setup up. Now we're gonna remove this access slot. Okay. And we're gonna put the glove box in.
Hang on a sec. I got an idea.
What?
Why don't we just take the drill and cut a hole in the access slot so it's even cleaner?
No.
Okay.
No. Slot is open. All we gotta do, run this through here. The wiring is in there. Put your light bulb back in.
Even though it's burnt out.
But it doesn't matter because
it's fine. Who cares?
I don't need it to be on. Here's our wiring. Okay. So we've got our connector now in there. Okay, and our ground is coming down here. We'll be able to connect it right there. It's not pinched on anything because I can move it back and forth like that.
The trick is to strip as much as possible. And I'll tell you why. When you have a mismatched gauge of ring terminal and you want to build thickness, you can build it by just folding the wire back in on itself. And that takes up a lot of space in the connector, so it's like you have a bigger gauge. Now, this is where you use a real crimper. How do you know it's good? Well, watch. Ready? Oh, that came off.
Should we put some solder in there?
Yeah, let's put some solder in there. And then we'll put this over it, and then we'll
tape it.
E-tape it.
Just trying to route it in a way that's away from everything. Looks pretty good. Make sure it's pretty tight, not too tight, but enough so that it won't come loose. And the WOT box is gonna sit somewhere right here. Perfect. Okay, so here's the WOT box, and here's the Velcro tape. We're just gonna put some tape on the back here, and then the other side of the Velcro tape will go inside the glove box. So we're in the car now. We've connected the N2MB WOT box to the laptop, and we've downloaded the software off of their website. And this is what we got here.
So we're selecting Mazdaspeed 3 for our source of RPM.
Now we're going to refer to Tuned By Nishan's video on how to set this specific screen up.
Third to fourth.
That?
I don't know.
All right, we're gonna try it again. Here's the WOT box. Flat foot shifting. No lift shifts.
Third to fourth. 175 milliseconds to start. Try second, third, fourth. What do you think? No?
Yeah, try it.
What do you think? No? What do you mean?
Whatever you want, man.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, do it. Do what you gotta do.
You don't think it's a good idea?